welcome to Retro Encounter, RPG fans' bi-weekly podcast on retro RPGs. I'm your host, Ben Love, and today we're going to be doing episode 470 on Star Ocean, the second story. Now, you might be wondering, wait, hold on, who is this? Where is Zach? What is going on? And that is because Zach was a little busy this week, so he asked me to fill in for him in hosting duties. So bear with me. This will be my first time hosting Retro Encounter, but I'm very excited, and this is a great game to start off with. And luckily, I have a lovely panel of RPG fan contributors to help me talk about the second story today. So I'm going to have them introduce themselves, starting with Audra.
Hello.
And Matt.
Oh, crap. I thought this was about Sea of Stars. Oh, no.
No. Unfortunately, that one is not really in the purview of Retro Encounter just yet. But
one day.
Maybe one day. And Rob.
Hi.
And last but certainly not least, Steph.
That intro was somewhere around 80 points.
I'll take it. So today, like I said, we're going to be talking about Star Ocean, the second story. And, this is an excellent
Is it second
game.
story, or is it second evolution, or is it Star Ocean second story R?
Well, we can talk about all of the versions if we want. Actually, that is a good point, Steph. We should each say which version of the game that we're playing. So I'll start. I'm playing Second Story R, the remake that came out in 2023. Audra?
I am also playing Second Story R.
Matt?
I am also playing Second Story R.
I'm noticing a running theme here. Rob, Steph, are you guys also playing the remake?
Yes, I'm also playing R, but I have played all of the other versions as well.
Yeah.
So.
I
Okay.
played the
Likewise.
original a
Yeah.
little bit, so.
Okay.
I have never.
Okay. All right. Well, that's great. So at least we're all playing the same version. That'll make things easier. But we can, do a little comparison with the original version and Second Evolution as we go, because there are quite a lot of changes with Second Story R. Not necessarily to the story, though there are some things added. But with the mechanics and some like streamlining and quality of life things, there's a lot of big changes there that we can get into. But I think to start off, let's have everybody kind of talk about their history with this game in particular, and also the Star Ocean series. So I'll start. My first experience with Star Ocean: The Second Story was actually with Second Evolution on the PSP. And I fell in love with it. And that was my first time playing anything Star Ocean. And I thought it was an incredible game, really fell in love with it. And then after that, I went back and played First Departure, and I played the original on PS1, the original version of Second Story, and then Star Ocean 3 and 4 and 5. And of course, as you go on, those kind of, that gets a little bit less exciting, but I did think Star Ocean 6 was pretty good. So, but that's kind of my history of the series. Steph, why don't you share with us yours?
Okay, so yeah, back in 1998, my brother got it, and he kind of played it, and then I totally picked it up, and I don't know, it was the first game that I really, really thoroughly played through as a kid. Like I like, it's a game with a great replay value, so that's pretty cool. A bunch of the Star Oceans do pride themselves in actually having like replayable mechanics and like different characters to try around, and I really went all about that. So yeah, it was like my first game that I really, really wanted to complete all the way, and Star Ocean is a great game for that with all of its like post-game content.
Yes.
So it's pretty fun for that. I'll
yeah,
keep it at
absolutely. Yeah. So this is like a really formative game for you then, Steph, I guess, right?
that. 100%, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, you can be kind of the expert, I guess, on this episode. Okay.
We'll go over every corny detail of the story. I'm very excited.
Yes, absolutely. Can't wait. Okay, Rob, how about you?
Yeah, so I am also a really big Star Ocean fan. I love the series so much. And Star Ocean 2, Star Ocean Second Story was the first one that I played. So the original PlayStation was the first games console that I've ever had. And I would class the Second Story as like one of the RPGs, the kind of like core group of RPGs that really got me into the genre, along with like Final Fantasy 7 and 8, Suikoden 2, Grandia. They're like peak RPG for me, some of these games.
Like, I remember an advertisement bragging how the game had 85 endings and just being blown away.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's really short endings, but it was still
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
Yeah, quote
Whoa.
unquote. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I remember like because this was my first games console, so my experience with gaming was not great. And Star Ocean was the first game that I played that was not a turn-based battle system, so it took me quite a while to like understand kind of fully what I was doing. But I did get into it and I really loved it. But I also decided at the time that engaging with any kind of complex systems within the game was not for me. So I just ignored all of the item creation stuff. I ignored all the talents and the abilities and skills and everything. And about 2/3 of the way through the game, it would just become too difficult, and I would just like replay the first 2/3 of the game over and over again. So it hasn't been until like this playthrough now that I've finally managed to finish it. But yeah, I had like the PSP games. I just never got around to playing the second one because I wanted to finish the first one, and then I don't know, other stuff kind of
Yeah. Know
life
how that
happened,
goes.
and I
Yes.
but yeah,
Absolutely.
it's great, and I've really loved playing through the remake remaster version. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a nice thing. You're saying that some of those more complex elements of the mechanics were a little hard to get your head around. I think that is one thing that Second Story R does really well is
Hmm.
make a lot of those mechanics a little more intelligible to the player.
It also makes
Um,
them work. There was a lot in the
Yeah.
original game that just straight up
yes.
did not work.
Yes, yes. Maybe not quite like Trials of Mana level broken, but
Yeah.
yeah, there were yeah, a lot of things that just were not working as intended for
Yeah.
sure.
So they absolutely went and redid all that. One thing I do want to point out is Trice being not beginner friendly because a lot of their games do have like that difficulty spike that wants you to take advantage of the game systems,
Hmm.
and you will not be able to pass Go unless you do.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, and we'll actually talk a little bit about that when we talk about the kind of development history and like who Trice are and how they came to be.
They are my first love.
All right, Matt, how about you?
Yeah, I have never touched the Star Ocean series. I mean, I love science fiction ever since I was a kid, but I was always kind of allergic to anime as a kid or Japanimation. Something about it, I was maybe scared of it. I don't know, because that was like, oh, that's like the shows that they play late at night. But ironically, like I loved Dragon Ball and everything, so I just never connected two and two. I mean, this game is adorable. But I finally picked this game up. I saw it at a shop here, and just like the art, like the new redone character art for Second Story R, like
Yes.
really attracted me. I'm like, that looks so
It's
cool,
so
whatever that
good.
is.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's
Yeah.
much better than the kind of generic anime art they used for Second Evolution.
Oh my,
Yeah,
I love
it's
that you can
not
scroll
great.
through them, and like the 90s
Yeah.
art looks so 90s, the
Yes.
2000s art looks so 2000s.
The chunky
Yes.
hair and like the yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
But actually I have to credit you, Rob, because your recent like Star Ocean kind of, so you want to get into Star Ocean, like that article that you wrote
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
Hmm.
that was
blew me
great.
away, and I got so interested in it from reading that I don't know if I mentioned this. I went on the PSN store and bought all 6 Star Ocean games, or like the
Oh
other
my
4
god.
Oh
games.
my god.
Wow, good for
I
you.
know, I know. They
That's
they were on
impressive.
sale, and I'm like, okay, like this has snagged me. But even like hearing about it long ago, like the tertiary stuff I heard of, like uh the bait and switch of like, oh yeah, it's like a fantasy game for half the game, and then suddenly they completely blow open the world. Like that just always sounded pretty cool to me. So the kind of like matrixy aspect of it. But yeah, I was
It's a
not
fun way to put it,
disappointed.
yeah.
Yeah, well, that's really cool that that Rob's feature inspired you to get into the series. That's really great. I mean, that's I think what every writer at RPG and Fan hopes happens when they write something like that. So that's really cool. That's really cool.
And now you
You
owe
got to
me
keep us
60
posted on what
bucks.
you think of the other ones.
Yeah, we're
Yes,
gonna have to have a
please.
conversation when you've played
Yeah.
Star Ocean 3 for sure.
Yes, yes.
Are
Oh,
we just
I'm
gonna open the
I
retro
I'm
to the
ready.
other ones in the future?
Yeah, well, I think has there
Star
been
Ocean
a
4 is retro now.
technically, I think, but yeah, I don't know if if there's been an episode on any other Star Ocean game. This might be the first one.
All right, we gotta correct that.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe we'll do. Maybe I can cajole Zach into doing Star Ocean 3 at some point.
We just gotta keep
God.
we just gotta keep that Zach guy
Yes.
out of here. He's not a Star Ocean fan.
Poor Zach.
Not like us.
He's off one podcast and that's it.
Long live
all right.
Ben.
Oh no, I'm not. I promise, Zach. It's not a coup. I promise.
We love you, Zach.
We
Come
do.
back.
We do.
We do. All right, Audra. How about you?
Well, my first exposure to Star Ocean was actually Second Story on the PlayStation. I did not get quite as far into it. I think I recruited Chisato and Noel, and
That's pretty
that was
far.
That's pretty far.
Yeah.
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 And then I think it hit a massive difficulty spike, and I was like, nah. So I didn't pick up the PSP version. I did end up playing Star Ocean First Departure, a version of that for actually a review here at RPG Fan.
Oh,
And I
in
quite liked it.
2019 when that
Yep.
one came out. Yeah.
The R1, yeah.
And I quite liked that one. And so I wanted to give this one a chance when the Second Story R came out. And I'm glad I definitely did. And I actually have Star Ocean 6 that I want to play at some point as well. And maybe I'll
I
eventually
love
go into the
gameplay of
other
that one
ones.
too.
I might go
Yeah.
into the other ones eventually too, just to
Please
it's
do.
kind of like I'm a newbie beginning Star Ocean fan.
It's
Yeah.
exciting.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that is very exciting, and it's good. I think it's good that you have the context of Star Ocean 1, because
Yeah.
they are directly connected, which
Mhm.
I think is something that people missed, obviously, because we never got the first one until the PSP version. So the first taste that we got in the West of Star Ocean was Star Ocean: The Second Story, and you have references and
yeah.
stuff to the first one. And I'm sure people are very lost, so you're probably getting like the more ideal experience, I think.
So technically, you would have beaten Star Ocean 1 R first before Star Ocean 2, right?
Yes.
Okay, because then you know what, there is a kind of doozy of a spoiler that I think that I'm actually excited to see, because we got Second Story first here and didn't get
Mhm.
the first game,
Yep.
Oh,
so it kind of
yeah.
left us hanging on a few of those. Like who the hell is this space captain? Why is he a jerk clod?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Why is
Yeah.
he acting so important?
Yeah. And so it's good. I think you're kind of getting that. You've kind of had that original intended experience that people in Japan got way back in the day. So
Neat.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, it's I think we have a really good, diverse group of perspectives here. People who are new to the series, people who the series is like near and dear to their heart. So I think we are going to have a great discussion about this game. So let's start. I think we can start off with just a little background on Tri-Ace and the Star Ocean series in general. So Tri-Ace was founded by Jun Asanuma, Masaki Norimoto, and Yoshihiro Gotanda. They are the three aces of Tri-Ace, and they previously worked for Wolf Team, which is the developer that worked on the Tales series. So these three actually were heavily involved in the development of Tales of Fantasia for the Super Nintendo. And they kind of had some development difficulties and disagreements with their publisher on that game, which is Namco. And so they left the company and then went and formed their own company called Tri-Ace. And they immediately got to work making the first Star Ocean, which is in a lot of ways very similar to Tales of Fantasia and other games in the Tales series, but in many ways is very different. So that's kind of where you saw the skill system
We're gonna make
and
our own We're gonna make our own Tales game with sci-fi and private actions.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I mean, they definitely like branched out a little bit. You have the more like 3D open kind of battle system. That was established even with Star Ocean 1 on the Super Famicom. And you have the sci-fi elements, and you have the skill system and everything that would get refined more in the second story, which we'll talk about. But all those kind of series conventions were established there, and then the game was a pretty big success in Japan. It was published by Enix, who also most famous for publishing Dragon Quest, so they had a good backing behind them, and so they went in and made the sequel on the PS1. And I think, if I remember correctly, this was actually picked up by Sony for the West um, to publish in Europe and the US. I think the timing, because it came out in like 90, I think it was like late 97 in Japan, and then in like mid 98 in the West. It was like right after the RPG boom, from Final Fantasy VII. So I think Sony was just like looking for more, Japanese role playing games to put out, and it just so happened that Star Ocean was ready to be released, and so luckily we got it here, and kind of gave everybody in the West their first taste of Star Ocean.
A little surprised they didn't remove the second story part.
I know.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure that
Weird.
was incredibly confusing for people. Yeah.
Where's
They're
the
like,
first
but what's the
story?
first story? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think the first one was just kind of a that casualty of that late SNES era where you had so
Yeah.
many Japanese games coming out, and they were all using like special chipsets and like to have like sound, voices, and like they were really expensive, to produce, and they were selling them for like over $100 in Japan, and that just was like not
Did it
realistic.
really? It was actually over $100?
Yeah,
Oh, I did not know
yeah.
that.
I think Tales of Fantasia as well. Yeah. So just that, that was just not viable in like 1995, 1996 in the US anymore. I mean, by that time, the PlayStation was already out. You already had the Saturn, and eventually, the Nintendo 64 would be out. So people were just not going to pay crazy money for Super Nintendo games.
No.
But luckily, the PlayStation was a much different story, and much more, a much more welcoming platform, I think, for RPGs. So yeah, that's kind of how we got Second Story, and I think Second Story is kind of the Star Ocean game that people think of. Like when they think of the series, this is I think the most popular one. It's the one that's been revisited the most times, and I think there's a reason for that. It's a very, despite being in some ways a direct sequel to the first Star Ocean, it does kind of stand on its own, and it's a really good story. It has really great cast of characters, and it has enough refinement to the mechanics of the first game that kind of really makes it into something really special. And so it kind of makes sense to me why this is the game that, kind of represents, I think, Star Ocean in the minds of people, fans all over the world. And I love the game. I've loved it ever since I played it. It's the game that made me a Star Ocean fan, and yeah. I mean, how does everybody else feel about it? Is it, you guys think it's the best one in the series, or?
I quite like it so far. Yeah.
I don't know if it's my favorite. I think maybe it's joint favorite with Star Ocean 3. I think those
Okay.
two together I really like. I like all of them, but I think those two are my favorite.
From the outside, it
Yeah.
seems to be the one that like embodies Star Ocean the most. Like it's the one I picture when I hear Star Ocean, but that's just knowing very little.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair, Matt. I mean, it's definitely the one that's gotten the most love and attention over the years. From Square Enix and from Trius themselves. So, um, yeah, I think for most people, it's the one that they think of. But I agree, Rob. I think three is pretty good. I think three gets a bad rap just because of some
Mm-hmm.
places the story goes.
Yeah.
But
It's like
um,
so misunderstood.
Yeah,
yes.
I think the third one is brilliant. It's yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yes. Mechanically and like the gameplay and everything, I think is really, really good.
Oh, I love
And
MP Death. I think it is like the greatest thing. I'm sad they've never brought it back. It is so mean, and I love it.
yeah. Um, and the story, it goes some weird places, but that's not always a bad thing, right? So, but this one is much more traditional, I feel like, in its storytelling, but still does some interesting and unique things. I think one thing that's really cool about this game is that compared to the first one, they really put the science fiction stuff front and center when you start the game.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mr. Rena.
and yes,
Yes.
yes, unless you're Renner.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Actually,
She's
that's
like,
a good.
I'm
You know
going
what?
to the forest today. That's what she's done every day of her life.
It makes me relaxed. Yeah.
That's a really good point, Steph. We should talk about that. Everybody, that's probably the most important thing with this game is that there are two routes to the game, and you can either pick Claude or you can pick Reyna as your protagonist. And of course, both characters are a major part of the game, regardless of who you pick. But that is kind of the, I would say, like most unique thing about it, and a pretty unique thing for the time too, to not only let you pick a female protagonist, but to have this kind of dual protagonist role for an RPG. So I picked Claude for this playthrough, but I have done both routes before. But we should have everybody say which route that they picked. So, yes, Steph, go ahead. Who did you pick for this one?
When I first played the game way back when, I also went Rena, and this time I did Rena as well, but that's because my first run of Star Ocean R was Quad.
Cool. Rob, how about you?
Claude for me this time, but I used to always pick Rena on the PlayStation version.
Cool.
Was it because like you liked like the characters that you get, or
I actually can't remember. I think when I played the PlayStation one, I just was really into the idea of like her being the main character rather than Claude. And this time, because I haven't experienced Claude's playthrough before, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go for him. But also, I prefer Leon over Diaz. So
oh,
yeah.
What? Oh, that's crazy. But that is a good point, Rob, that you bring up, that it was like a very unique thing at the time that you could pick like a female protagonist.
Mhm.
And definitely I think helps the game like stand out. And credit to Tri-Ace for doing that so early when that
kidding,
was
yeah.
just not common. Yeah. Matt, how about you, since it's your first time around?
Yeah, I opted for Rena just because I can be a skinny white boy in real life. So, but I did beat the whole game like hours ago, and I just restarted as
Ooh.
Claude. And like, yeah, you're right about the sci-fi elements. Like, it's very different, the opening. But yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a huge kind of change between the two, at least in the intro hours. I mean, most of the game is pretty similar, but there are quite a few divergent points. And as we go along, we'll definitely talk about those as well, because there's some interesting changes depending on who you picked. And then, Audra, how about you?
I went with Rena in my first playthrough, and I stuck with her this time just because I figured I'm going to finish it and I'm going to play as her the whole way through.
You're like
Cool.
Pride.
amending
Yep.
it, making amends.
Yes.
Time to finish this.
Very good. Okay, well then I guess we've got, I think that was what, 3 Reynas and 2 Claudes, is that right? So the show notes are based on Claudes because that's what, I chose to play for this time. But I definitely want everybody who's playing Reyna's route to chime in with differences and everything. And we'll get into that in a minute, but I think maybe before we start talking about the story, we should talk a little bit about the gameplay mechanics, the skill system, and things like that. Because there really is, I mean, that's a huge part, I think, of this game's identity is um, the skill system and all the different kind of things that you can do with it. Um, so, Matt, since this is your first time playing through the game, what did you
Yeah.
think of the skill system?
I was going to ask everybody, like, in all the other Star Ocean games, are you also spending like half the game in menus?
Yeah, quite a bit
Yes.
actually.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
Oh, I
think
let those
At least
points
in
creation
the
is.
first one.
accumulate. Yeah.
okay. But it's so satisfying. Like it does feel like it's very like, it itches my brain in like just the right way of just breaking the game, and like it's encouraging you to break it in so many ways.
Mhm.
Through the skills, through the crafting, through the like random lottery items that you can get, and like by chance you could get like the greatest weapon in the game like within the first like 10
Very easy.
levels. There's so many things like that that just I'm like, really, you want me to do this? Like, okay. I really like that aspect of it.
Yeah, there's something really refreshing about a game like kind of giving you the keys to the castle like almost immediately and then just saying like go wild with it, you know?
But
They're
like a
really
lot of
not a
us didn't take advantage of that at first. Like you kind of just you go
yeah.
like, whatever, and yeah, before enemies start completely destroying you.
Yeah, and I think it was what Rob you were saying that when you first played it back in the day, you didn't really
Mhm.
engage with those mechanics. And I think that's true of
Yeah.
like probably most people who
Yeah.
started out playing
Yeah.
the game. Yeah,
I
just
think
kind of.
the like
Oh, go ahead.
PlayStation version just did not. I don't ever really remember it giving you much of an explanation, like
No.
in the game anyway, of how to
No.
use any of this stuff. So I think in this R version, it's so much better, like explained and laid out, and yeah, it's a lot more like friendly to the gamer.
Yeah,
If I
they make.
recall though, they did not like the first game did not separate like the skills for item creation from the battle ones, so they all had to share a single SP pool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, that's
yeah.
correct.
So that made it not harder, but like you had to spend your points a little more wisely.
More
This one they
grindy.
totally divide it, and yeah, you can start going crazy earlier on.
I'm also not sure that on the PlayStation version that the skills told you like what would happen if you leveled some of them up. So like in R, it
Nope.
says like if you level this one up, it will give you increases to your strength and whatever. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure in the PlayStation version it didn't give you any of that. So sometimes you were just like putting points into skills without
Yes.
really understanding what
Yeah.
was going to come from that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, I don't even think it was showing you your stats in the same menu as
Yeah.
the menu that you're putting the points in, the skills, and that's something that they changed for this one. So you can immediately, like, if you're going to put points in, see, oh, my strength or my defense or whatever is going to go up by X amount. But yeah, I mean, you would have had to be flipping through like the status pages in the menu to like put points in and then go see if anything changed, which
Mhm.
It's
most.
honestly worth mentioning just how many like fixes Star Ocean 2R does. Like
Yes.
it is
Yeah.
crazy. They really took like I mentioned this in the comments earlier, but they took basically a 60, 70 hour RPG and like literally cut in half just the amount of like less backtracking and all that. So there's just so
Mhm.
many little features in it to make it a much more smooth experience.
Mm.
They almost want you to 100% it
Yeah. It
Yes.
really respects your
yes.
time a lot more.
completely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean there's a lot of times, I mean I think even just having the objective markers is like a um huge change because I mean there are points in the original version of Second Story where you could just be wandering around
Yeah.
for like
Oh, yeah.
hours
Oh my
because
god.
the
It's
game
like
really
talk to like 3 specific NPCs. You don't know which ones. You kind of just go run
yes.
around town like sure.
Yes, there's so many moments like that, and the game is not, there's a lot of dialogue, and I think that the dialogue is like pretty good, and obviously they've improved the localization with Second Story R, but I don't. It's not even that the first one. I mean that the original release had a bad localization necessarily. I just think that they, it wasn't. If you missed like a certain line of dialogue telling you vaguely where you might want to go. I mean, you there was like no
You could be
way to really.
wandering. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
no, they would tell you if you did a private action, they'll kind of like
Oh, yes,
orient you
that's
the right
true.
way. So it wasn't too bad, but like still, it could be still pretty. Like some parts were still very abstract of what you had to
Obtuse.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
very
Yeah. And I
obtuse.
mean, that's a good point, Steph. The private action system.
Oh, the best.
That yes, that's kind of like a unique thing about this game. I mean, I guess Tales of would eventually implement like the skits, which are sort of a similar idea, but I think the way that it's
Wolfton
implemented
was like,
in
yeah, well, we're gonna do our own thing too.
right.
And they're just like having spats back and forth.
Yes, yes. But I think the way that the private actions are done in Second Story are really, and just in Star Ocean in general, really interesting because it's almost like the feel that you kind of get from like a CRPG where you kind of have this ability to optionally engage with characters more, and there are some pretty significant things that can happen from private actions. Both in the original version and in the remake. There's some things that they've added in the remake. Like characters to recruit from private actions, things like that that didn't exist in the original. But you have a relationship system with the characters, and the private actions are the main way that you can develop the relationship between the protagonist and the various characters in your party, and that has a big impact on the endings, which I know we briefly mentioned before, but there are a ton of endings in this game. And while we won't be talking about them in this episode, but we will talk about them in part two. Um, and of course, saying that the game has like what did you say earlier, Steph? Like 85 endings. That's a little probably misleading
Yeah.
because
Most of them are just like, we're hanging out together. Let's keep hanging out
yes,
together.
Yeah, or like,
Like,
man,
okay.
I didn't find a boyfriend. That sucks. Oh well.
yes,
There's a lot of
yes.
that. Like
The alone endings are always hilarious. Like they're just always kind of dry. Definitely like when I was like like in my formative years becoming a big nerd, definitely could have gone the other way because I really loved that shipping aspect. Just I thought it was really
Mhm.
cool that you could pair people up either platonically or romantically. Like I just thought that was really neat.
Yeah, and that was something that I think a lot of games we didn't really get that from a lot of games
No, right. Yeah,
back
we were
then.
totally not getting like the dating sims here. So I mean that was
Yeah, we weren't
completely
getting
not.
like Tokimeki Memorial, and even like the RPGs that had those elements, like Fire Emblem, for example, wouldn't be localized for another few years. So, yeah, there really weren't that many RPGs that were making you think about the relationships between your characters and the protagonist beyond just what happens in the story, and like actually kind of gamifying that and adding a mechanic to that and some kind of choice and consequence to it, like this game does. And I think that's something that also makes it really special compared to other RPGs at the time, and probably why it's held up so well. Um, is that these are things that now people kind of expect in RPGs, but that Trice was kind of really pioneering at the time.
It really was like a really big experience for the time. Like to deal
Hmm.
those like I think this is the game that kind of, started my love of seeing damage pileups.
Yes.
Like when you start really putting your points into those battle skills and like, one after another they keep activating and activating and like you start like zipping around the
yeah.
field with Godspeed, which is the best
Hmm.
skill. Like it is really fun stuff. Like you don't even know what's happening on the battlefield by the end.
They become like either like you get knocked out in like 5 seconds or you kill them
Oh
in 10.
yes.
Like it's so
Yes.
fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do, some of that is, I think, the remake makes some pretty significant changes to the battle system. And actually, it's probably the biggest changes I would say, other than just the quality of life features, is what they do with the battle system.
Mhm.
Because now you have like this like shield kind of system, and you can break enemy shields, and you have like a dodge counter move that you can pull
Yeah,
off,
that's new.
which is
The
new.
PSP game introduced like actual attack combos.
Hmm.
So the first one it was just like attack, 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 but then it's like, attack 1, 2, 3, so that was new in the PSP one. And then they added the combo system here. And they revamped like a whole bunch of the actual like well, they used to call them killer moves. I'm sad they changed that, but the
to the
the
arts.
special arts, yeah,
Yeah.
like killer
Y-
moves.
Yeah, Killer Moves. It's a great little piece of 90s localization there for sure.
Groovy.
But yeah, there's been a lot of changes to the battle system over time, and I do think that the battle system in the remake is probably like the best iteration of this kind of classic battle system. So it's interesting. They kind of like, Star Ocean 1 on the Super Famicom actually plays very differently than Star Ocean: The Second Story. And when they did First Departure, they kind of like backported the combat system from Second Story into First Departure, and made them play very similarly. But
I actually really hated that. That made me pretty mad.
yeah, it does, like, it makes sense because I think in a lot of ways, like, Star Ocean 1's battle system is like a little bit harder to like wrap your head around, and it doesn't have the like immediacy of like a typical action RPG
I,
system.
what I usually say is that I think Star Ocean 1 was a better SNES game than it was a PSP game.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. But it does, like you're saying, Steph, it really takes away like some of the unique identity of that
Yeah,
first game.
yeah.
Yeah, to just make them play very similarly. But
I was like, and like another one of the little things was like the first mountain you go to, Mount Metorx or whatever. Like
mhm.
it was like this beautiful, lush pixel mountain,
Oh
and then
yeah.
it's like this giant dirt mud colored hill in
Yeah.
the PSP one. I was like, ugh.
Yeah. The visual, yeah, the first game on the Super Famicom is maybe one of the most beautiful Super Famicom games ever made.
Oh, gorgeous! My
Um
God, all
and
those late
and
SNES games were. Like,
yes. And the PSP game is definitely not the best looking PSP game in the
yeah,
world. Charming in its own way with
for
the
sure.
sprites on the 3D back, and the backgrounds and stuff, but it's not, it's definitely not like the first one. But that is actually something I think they did pretty well in Second Story R, is that they kind of gave it a unique visual style with the kind of, 3D environments and the kind of classic chunky pixel sprites on those in those environments. It is. I know some people don't really like that look, but I think it kind of works for the game. I don't know how did everybody feel about that?
I
About
liked it, but looking at like Second Story, like the PS1 version, that looked a lot more like it reminded me of Street Fighter Alpha, like those kind of like
Oh
fluid
yeah.
Oh,
sprites, like the anime
Hmm.
sprites. But I
Hmm.
I did like it. Like the second R, it was like it's kind of like the typical HD 2D, but like it feels a little more robust and it's actually a
Mm.
3D environment that you're running around in, which I liked it actually. It was really colorful too.
Hmm.
I need to bring up the fact that this game has like 8 directional movement for all of its characters.
Yeah.
So like yeah, like not only just like running like walking animations, but running animations. And stupid Star Ocean 2R actually added idle animations for every single character, and they're actually animated
Yes.
very, very, very well. Like you could see the pixel artists are more talented nowadays.
Hmm.
Because I definitely think the idle animations are incredibly impressive looking. And again, they're 8 directional as well, which is just such a big commitment.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It
huge.
is. It gives the characters like a lot of personality and charm.
Yeah.
And then yeah, that reminds me too. They added, I think like a lot of like when you're running around, there's like text pop-ups that are like little, your different people in your party chiming in on like events or what's going on. And I think that's new to this version. Is that right?
That's really cute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I
And
like
like
that
and
if
little
you're in a
ambient.
yeah.
yeah.
And like if you're like in a part of the game where like someone needs saving right now, then you see them running. Like it's really cute.
Yeah, and it's like because the characters are optional. Many of the characters are optional, and also depending on what route you're playing, you get different characters. So it's like there wasn't always like a lot of space for the other party members to really have a lot of like presence in the story. And so I think that is one nice thing that the remake does, is like adds more areas where like the characters talk to each other, they chime in on events and things like that, which gives like some of the side characters a little more personality than what they had in the original version, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
the
does
fact
bug
that
me a little though about how, because I really love the new artwork for the characters in R. I think it's the best that it's looked in any of the
Ever.
versions.
Yeah.
However, lots of them do not match what the sprites look like. Like,
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
characters are
yeah.
wearing like the wrong color outfits, or like
Yes.
Noel's ears look different in his sprite to the
Yeah, and Precus is like
portrait.
wearing pink outfit instead of
I think it's
Mhm.
Priestess that throws me off the most because she's wearing
yeah.
like pink with blonde hair when she's wearing purple with brown hair.
Yeah.
That's the one that gives me. The Ashton one does drive me nuts because the dragon doesn't flip over, so it's like it just changes
Oh.
sides.
Creepy
That
and
one drives me a
weepy.
little crazy now that I've noticed. Yeah,
Yeah, creepy and weepy.
I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, that's a lot to commit to. I get
Yeah, and
it.
I don't know if that's because they decided to include like all the portraits from the various versions in this, so they were like, well, we don't want the sprites to mismatch the other versions, so they just went with the sprites like based on the original sprites, and then they just kind of had the new designs like let the artists do whatever they wanted.
No, I'm actually
um,
thrilled they finally included Opera's silly little like headband thingy in there that she never really had in her artwork.
oh yeah,
So
yeah.
like in her idol pose, she has them flip it down while she like pretends to aim her gun around, which is really cute. Because yeah, what it was like it was an old sketch of Opera, and they started making the artwork after
Hmm.
and the sprite work after. So she had the headbands, but she never had it in the artwork. But in this one, they have her stupid goggles on her arm. So like they
Yeah.
did kind of think about it. Yeah, but there's still some parts, that are always different. I mean, it could be worse. It could be Star Ocean R, the first game, where it's like the sprites are just totally different looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true, and I do like that they included like um, the old versions of the portraits in there. So if you want to use the classic versions, you can. But
Too
I
bad you
personally
can't
like
load
the
up
new
the
ones.
PS1 voices.
Oh
I was going
gosh,
to
I got
ask,
the
like, what voices were you guys running with? Like, what language or what style?
So I went with English. I actually think that the English like dub is pretty good. In Second Story R.
Except
Um,
Celine.
yeah.
I
Was
have a different interpretation of the English voice
Yeah.
acting.
That's what I
But
That's
thought,
okay.
Audra.
okay.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
please.
sorry.
No, no,
But that's
no.
what I went with too.
I I listened to them all, yeah, and like at the beginning when it's like Claude is like I'm gonna hit you or whatever. I was like, so I'm running or
I'm
I
gonna
was
hit
running
you.
with the what is it, second evolution, like the PSP one. And
Uh-huh.
even
Yeah.
comparing that to like the new R version, the PSP voice acting I thought was outstanding. Like seriously, like the whole game I was like, this sounds amazing. Like the voice acting was great. The Japanese voice acting, I mean.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it incorporates a lot of like famous anime actors that are still around today, I think. But they just sound like younger and more, I don't know, like natural, I guess I could say, in the PSP version. So that really impressed me. I'm like, is this really the old one? Because it sounds great.
I think the voice directing is kind of poor. Some of it sounds like one take and that was it.
Mm.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true. There are a lot of times where like a character will say
doesn't
something and then another
match.
character will say something and it's like, wait, are you responding to what they like it's
Yeah.
like a little odd that they are like
Like there's an emotional moment
yeah.
with like Claude and Rena and like she's like, Claude? Like it just sounds kind of clueless instead of sympathetic. Huh? So, but like, I mean, you got Spike Spencer as Claude. I mean, I'm not gonna be mad at Shinji Ikari doing his yelling around the battlefield.
Yeah, yeah, I do think Claude, and that maybe depending on what route you're playing, that might have a bigger impact. Because I do like Claude, like I like the voice acting for Claude in this version. Like I think he does a really good job of kind of conveying a lot of that like insecurity and
Angst.
angst that Claude has. Yeah,
Yeah.
without being like overbearing, right? Like he's not, he still kind of is like personable and likable, but you kind of get that undercurrent of the things that are, kind of going on in his inner life a little bit from the voice acting, which I thought was really good. And I don't
Which,
hate
which
Rena's voice
again
acting,
means
but
more if you knew his parents.
yes, yes,
Which we did
yes.
not know his parents before, and now more or less we do.
Yes, and that helps recontextualize, I think, a lot of things in the game as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think we can start talking about the story then. We're 45 minutes in.
The
We haven't even
second
really.
story. It's okay. Not much happens in the first game or first half.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So I'll go over the intro, like Claude's intro, a little bit, and then I'll have one of you who's doing Reina's route, kind of go over Reina's intro. So the game starts out with Claude, on the Calnus with his father, Ronix Kinney, who is like the admiral of the, what is it, like the Federation
The
Space
Calnus?
Fleet?
Yeah.
Yes. And they are, I guess, like kind of exploring like a anomaly on like a, I don't know if it's an undiscovered planet or a, kind of a yeah, I think it's an undiscovered planet. And so you get the sense really early on that like, Claude is obviously, he's an officer, but he's very green, and being the admiral's son means that he kind of is in his father's shadow all the time, and that is
But
something
he
that
like
really,
dotes on him too, so he's hated by like some of his
yes,
peers. Like it's
yes.
kind of a double whammy.
Yeah, his father is very, kind of uncompromising and firm, but at the same time, everybody kind of dislikes Claude because they think he's like a nepo baby.
He's a bit of
And
a jerk though, like touching that machine. They're like, Claude, get away from that thing, and he goes, no, no, and he just keeps getting closer. I'm like, what's wrong with you,
Yeah.
kid?
Well, I think, yeah, and I think it's interesting. I think he's like a desperate to prove himself, right? And so
Yeah.
that's kind
Right.
of why he acts like that. So yes, they land on this like unfamiliar planet. There's kind of some weird technology going on there. And they're like, oh, we need to like, make a perimeter and like be careful with this thing. And Claude is like, no, I'm just gonna go and like see what it's all about. And then he gets teleported
F you,
to
Dad. I'm gonna do what I want to do.
yeah, and he gets teleported to a completely different planet.
At least he got teleported and not like vaporized or got his muscles
I know,
turned
he's very
inside out.
lucky. He's
Yeah.
very lucky. Yes,
And on a
yes.
planet that needs help. So I mean, just like, what are the astronomical odds that he
I
was like
know.
teleported to a planet and not in the middle of
Mhm.
space?
Yep. Yep. He's very lucky. And he wakes up in this forest, and that's where he finds Reyna, who's being attacked by some monsters, and he jumps in and helps her out and blows away the monster with his like phaser gun. And then he's like, "Oh shoot,
Yo,
I'm
that
not
phase
supposed to do
gun
that."
is the best.
Yes.
I love that thing.
And it's probably why they take it away from you like almost immediately.
Oh.
But yeah, and so that's something that's just a big thing, reoccurring thing in the Star Ocean series in general, is that you have these more advanced civilizations on different planets, and when they come into contact with an underdeveloped planet, like Expel, the planet that most of this game is set on, then they're not really supposed to reveal that they are from a more advanced civilization,
It's a
because
prime
they don't.
directive.
Yeah, the
Yes,
Prime
yes. It's a
Directive.
very Star Trek kind of thing going on here, which is really interesting and cool.
It
So
actually has a
Claude,
great name. Like they call it the UP3, so the Underdevelopment Planet Protection Pact.
yes,
So
yes.
I actually love that they gave it a whole name that's not Prime Directive.
And so that means Claude has to kind of keep under wraps that he is from another planet, but he's let the cat out of the bag a little bit. But luckily for him, the underdeveloped planet he's on, has some kind of prophecy about a hero of light. So instead of thinking that he's some kind of alien being from another planet with advanced technology, they just think he's got like a magic sword and that he's like the hero from legend. So he hasn't exactly blown his cover, but yeah. So now he's got himself in kind of a different type of trouble.
I love
And
that kind of fibbing where it's like, are you from L? It's like, yeah, I'm there.
yeah.
It's me.
And
L.
and that's the thing too, is like Claude is very inexperienced. So while, his father has been through this exact kind of situation before, he has not and doesn't really know what to do. So he kind of just like flies by the seat of his pants a little bit. Which I think is a interesting kind of way to take the story. And because Claude is like a fish out of water, it does kind of make for a good way to like get the player invested in the world, because he's not
Always,
from
yeah.
yeah, he's not from around there, so everybody's got to explain everything to him, and then they explain everything to you, the player, and that kind of works out well that way. And then he's taken back to Arlia.
And Rena's a country bumpkin. She doesn't know anything
Yes,
about the
yes.
outside world.
Yes, she's from a very tiny little village called Arlia, and they're all very like awestruck by Claude, of course, and his weird clothes and
And his
everything.
massive giant phaser gun.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
what?
It's really cute when you go around talking to the villagers, because they'll be like machine? What's a
Yeah,
machine?
I
And
love
like
that.
like spaceship. It's really
Earth?
cute.
Where's that?
Yeah, I know,
Yes,
right,
So
right.
yes.
cute, yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because like the world definitely has like different levels of development depending on where you are, because like once you get to Liqueur, like there actually is like more technology, and it's like kind of more commonplace, so you get the sense that like Cross in particular is just kind of like backwards compared to the other places on the
Yeah,
planet.
like
But
it's
that
kind of set in like a weird kind of mix of the fantasy and like, yeah, we still got machines though.
Yeah,
And then
but
they
I
use
guess
like symbolism or whatever to or
yeah,
symbology, yeah, to make up the difference.
and that kind of like I think makes sense too. Like it almost gives the world like a more realistic feeling, because it's just like our world. There's been at times in history where some places were really technologically advanced and other places were less so.
Mhm.
And so you kind of get that sense too from Expel. Like there's areas where they're way further behind in technology and rely more on like magic, which is kind of what Cross is like. And then when you get to Liqueur, it's like, oh, this place is a lot more technologically advanced and has like a little bit more going on, even though they're still way behind like the spacefaring societies in the you know
Yeah,
universe
like
and everything.
Priestess just managed to make a robot and not a very impressive one. And they have a TV. I don't get that, but whatever.
Yeah, there are
It's like
some
the only
definitely
TV.
anachronisms. Yes, yes. I mean, their whole house is like, it's like a Japanese style house. They have like the
It's so cozy.
I don't, what do you call that?
Oh, the tatami, not the
y-
tatami, the
the
Tonkatsu?
yeah.
No.
yeah, the
Kotatsu.
like table with the
Kotatsu.
kotatsu. Yes, thank you,
Tonkatsu,
thank you,
sorry.
Matt.
I'm sitting at one right now. Recording
Are you actually?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Oh.
Although it's
But
funny
yeah,
because
so
I once said tonkatsu to my mother-in-law. Like I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get my feet in the tonkatsu, which is like pork
Like,
cutlet.
what?
And she goes, what? And I'm like, what?
just imagining you like putting your feet in like a bowl of like tonkatsu ramen broth.
She's just
or
like, what is
something.
wrong with that boy?
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
But yeah,
the way the
so
oil
that's...
warms up the feet.
Who let the dogs out? Ooh.
So that's Claude's kind of starting out, and so whoever wants to take over Raina's kind of intro, please go ahead.
Not really. It's kind of boring comparatively.
She literally just goes to the forest all the time,
Just
apparently.
literally goes outside.
Well,
My mom's like you shouldn't go out so much. Yeah, but I want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
she likes to touch grass. That's good, like
That's
yeah.
true. Yeah, you learn she's sad because like the forest gets her nostalgic. It is a nice forest actually. Like I wish I had that in my backyard. Oh my gosh, that would be nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is cool to see the game from like the perspective of someone with like the wool pulled over their eyes. Like
Yeah.
she's reminded me of like Luke Skywalker, like his like
Yes.
trajectory.
That innocence.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is a
Yeah.
good pull. It is very similar. I'm sure they were, Star Wars is probably a big influence on
Oh, for sure.
pretty much any science fiction-y fantasy kind of thing from this time. So
I definitely get a lot of Star Trek vibes from it too.
yes, yeah. I mean,
which, yeah.
it's definitely more similar to Star. I mean, everything with the Federation and the once you get into the more heavy science fiction elements, it's very Star Trek. Yeah.
It opens with them reading the star date and everything and like narrating like what's going on.
Yes.
It was very Star Trek. Yeah.
I was really
Yes.
happy they brought back that visual from Star Ocean 3 where it shows like the Earth, the moon, and a space station in front of it, which is just a beautiful shot.
Mhm.
Yeah, that just kind of illustrates that whole history behind it, and developing the whole Federation. And then, making the UP3 the prime directive, and then having every game about breaking it.
Yeah, well, I guess it is a little bit of a Chekhov's gun, right? You can't talk about there's this rule against, violating, underdeveloped planets. It's like, well, of course, then the whole game is going to be about that.
What do you do? I was beamed there involuntarily.
Right, right. Yeah, it's never their fault. They're never like maliciously doing it, right? It just kind of happens.
Actually, the first game was cool about that, where it's like, yeah, they wanted to actually save a planet. They actually did the whole like, no, we're gonna intervene. That was cool. This one was
Yeah.
just Claude wanted to touch gizmos
Yes.
to the benefit of the universe, so it kind of worked out.
It works out in the end, right? Yeah. So Arena's is a little more conventional, but
Oh yeah, back to her.
but there is some interesting stuff going on with Rena. We find out pretty quickly that she's actually, well, I guess you just find out she's not really from the village. Her mother is not her biological mother, and she was just kind of found. And
But they
then
both have blue hair.
yes, they do. They do. Made it very convenient,
Yes.
for
Yeah.
and she has a pendant around her neck that she was, left with as a baby, and that's like the only thing that she has.
Oh, and a
from
mysterious
her.
healing power.
Yes, and a
Right.
mysterious healing power. Yes. And I think I don't remember if the original shows this, but in Second Story R, like when they're doing the flashback where like she was a baby and she was found, she's like in a very obvious like space canister kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that kind of like even this early like implies like, especially if you're playing Claude's route, you're like, oh well, she's obviously not from the planet. Like you pretty much
Yeah.
figure that out immediately before everybody else does. But yeah, so there's a little bit of mystery around her origins too, which
That's true. Yeah, and that's the whole like impetus for her wanting to leave and go on an adventure too. She wants to go
Yes,
find out
yes.
about herself, which is sweet. Yeah.
Yes, and I think it's also they took great care to like give them both a reason to like travel together and want to kind of explore and move on from where they were, which I think is good. It's important to kind of have that motivation for each character, and they do a pretty good job of doing that.
To
And
Rena's benefit, like her story might not start very interesting, but they did the boldest thing of all is having you fight as a healing character.
yeah,
Oh,
In that
yeah.
first dungeon. It's like, oh my god, no.
yeah. Well, she does
But
have her like knuckle dusters or whatever, so.
Yeah.
At first, yeah, and then you're like, nope, back the lines. You stay back there.
I played the
Yes.
entire game having Rena just like I played as Rena. And I would just run in and
Good for
knuckle
you.
them to death.
Oh, wow.
And then like hang back and heal when I had to. But like if you pull the right weapons, like she can be a real monster on the field.
That's true. Yeah, she does get a lot of them with like some good effects on it. That is true.
Mhm. And she has some good attack spells too. Yeah.
The
Did
Yeah.
you
rock
not just have
dropping
to
thing.
like? Did you not just have to like constantly be healing? I'm getting a bit ahead of myself now, but like at the end of the game, were you not just like healing constantly if you were
Game
playing
was
as
a
her?
certain
so many
10
healing
wise
items that
men
you-
came in, I did have to. Yeah.
Yeah, because I tried switching her out for Noel for a while, and it worked fine until the last few bosses, and then I had to switch them back in because he just couldn't.
Although
Yeah,
Claude
you
with
can't keep up.
the Sword of Life, that ability could like heal everybody like in waves, like AoE effect.
It got
like, that was
so good this time
so
around. It
good.
used to be kind of crap, but now it
Yeah,
like
it's pretty
it has a heal
broken.
and attack
Yes.
thing.
Yes,
So
and
I
it's
feel
very
like I
it
like
hits a
drop
lot of times.
boulders on people's heads and break them. Like that worked for most of the game.
Opera's healing stars is actually probably the most broken of them all.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I didn't end up getting Opera in this playthrough, but I have, that she can kind of replace Reyna as a healer if you wanted to do that. But I mean, Reyna I still think is probably the most efficient healer in
Yeah,
the
for
game,
sure.
and that's what I had her do the whole game is just heal.
Well, she can take care of the status effects too, which is a
Yes.
problem
Yes.
because yeah, they start
Yes.
pummeling you with those.
Yes,
Oh my God.
yes. But yeah, so the first place that they go is to the Salva. There's like a mining town nearby called Salva, and Reyna actually gets kidnapped by like a guy named Alan, who's like the rich son of the mine owner who is like in love with her or whatever. And this is kind of where you get the first like sense of like, oh, there's something going on in the world that's no good. because they found like some stone in the mines, and this stone basically corrupted Alan and turned him eventually into a monster that you then have to fight. And then after you defeat him, Reyna heals him and he comes back to normal. And so this kind of introduces the concept of like the stone, like the effect of this stone, having an adverse effect on people on the planet. And that's where you find out that there's something called the sorcery globe, which has fallen onto the planet from space, and it fell into the kingdom of El, and then started like creating a bunch of monsters, and the kingdom of El is like completely overrun with monsters, and then now a bunch of other bad things are happening.
It's actually pretty interesting to see the pretty ramped up trajectory of how things go really badly on this planet. Like it just starts with the monsters,
Yes.
but then things get really ugly really fast.
Yeah, Claude has pretty much shown up like right at the worst time.
Or the best time.
Yes. And although now like things are pretty low stakes, like pretty quickly things start to get a lot more serious. So from here, the party, Reyna and Claude, Reyna wants to figure out what's going on with her background, and Claude wants to figure out how to get off the planet. So they decide to go to Cross City, which is the biggest city on the continent, to kind of investigate further and talk to the king and see if he can tell them anything. And when you're doing this, you run into a mage, a symbologist, getting in a fight with another symbologist, and that is Celine. And you can, and I think you don't have to recruit her. I don't think, right? Like you can just like decline to go to the cave with her. Yeah.
I
But
love
she
that.
asks
Like
you
you could just totally roll solo with just you and Reyna.
with just Reyna and
That's
Claude.
so
Yeah.
fun, yeah.
Yeah. But if you do choose to go with her, then you go and investigate a cave nearby, and you find it's like a document, I think, right? In like ancient text or something like that.
Oh, yes. It's called the Ancient Text, I think.
Oh, literally, yes. Okay, well,
Yeah,
yes, my memory is better than I thought.
Why be complicated?
And Celine is very like interested in this ancient text, and also what's going on with like the sorcery globe and the planet and everything. So she wants to travel along with you. So she becomes your first party member, and I mean she's pretty great. Like I used her basically like the whole game. She's very strong. She's a very traditional mage character, like stands in the back and casts spells.
Okay, all of you PS1 players remember her with the spell Ray, right?
Yes, yes.
And it like went on forever, and then when the PSP version came around, they shortened it drastically, but
Well,
it still
yes.
kind of stopped things. And then this one, they just like make it like a little cute flicker, just bang, 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 gone.
Yep. And you can even there are some spells with like some pretty long animations, but you can just totally skip all of them if you want.
So good, yeah.
Which is nice. Yeah.
Like,
Um
none of that, please.
Yeah. Which that was probably an incentive not to use her back then.
Honestly,
But
yeah.
she is very capable. And I think she also doesn't conflict with anybody else in the party, right? So you can just recruit her for free, and there's no. Is that? I think so, right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, I think so. She's
conflict.
She's
conflict free, Celine.
Freebie. And there are also some funny scenes because she's like kind of the femme fatale of the party. So where Claude is getting a little bit flustered because she's like laying on the flirting, and Reyna gets mad, which is funny to see.
I need to say it. Claude and Reyna are just so corny together.
They are really
They're
corny.
Such cheese bots together.
Yeah, but they are. I mean, she's 17, he's 19. Like it fits, right? Yeah, it's cute.
It's really cute. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of moments where everybody else in the party, like they have an interaction together, and everybody else in the party is like knowingly like, I see what's happening here. Which is cute. But yeah, so she's a good kind of addition to the party, and from there you've gotten.
Just to really quickly.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I hate the stupid cross cave document thing. It is such like you spend literally half the game trying to get these things translated, only to leave them on Expel.
Oh yeah.
Everything on Expel behind.
Yeah.
So you don't actually get them translated in the game proper.
That's right.
It is kind of a MacGuffin.
Annoying. Yeah, it's a MacGuffin. Okay, so you leave it there. Whatever happens to Expel happens. you're not going back there no more. And so you find out what the document says. Get this, in the Solo Bowman ending,
Oh yes,
which is
yes.
so annoying. And do you know what it says? Peace on Earth. No, I'm just kidding. It basically just talks about need. It's like such a whimper. It just kind
Yes.
of
I mean,
refers to
it's
need.
funny that like
Cool.
it's like yes, if they had figured it out sooner, that like would have maybe helped them. But
Nothing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is funny.
Which kind of leads to the next useless part, technically, is when you go to Kuruk, and you go
Yes.
there literally for no reason at all, because it's also literally a wash.
Yes, yes, yes. Because they go, so they get permission from the king. Okay, you can go to the Kingdom of El. I've given you a travel permit, and you can go investigate the source of the globe. You go to Kuruk, which is this big port town, and you have a little thing where you play with this kid, and he shows you around town and whatever. Which you make friends with him, and then about 2 seconds after you made friends with him, the entire town gets swallowed up into the ocean by an earthquake, and everybody dies, like
A
except for like
tsunami
a few
quake at
people.
that.
Yes,
That
It's
was
a
yes,
double
traumatic.
friggin' whammy.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, I mean, I think that part is effective, like having the kids show you around, and you talk to all the
Yeah.
people, and then and there's no real indication, I think, at this point, especially if you're playing for the first time, because it's been a pretty typical RPG, and this is a pretty typical RPG
Yeah.
Very
scenario,
lighthearted
that is
until
going to
then.
happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
think
like a
Star Ocean
private
loves doing
action, I
that.
think, where there's a woman trying to warn people.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. This
Yeah.
I
is
was
really
gonna
his
mention that, like,
first
for the
appearance.
true ending, right? Like, they didn't
Mhm.
mention that, so I rarely looked at a guide,
It's
but
not
I'm
even a
glad I
true
saw
ending,
one for
it's just
that.
the mean boss. Like, if you
The
want a
bigger
boss that'll
boss.
destroy you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how? Like, it's not even, like, even at your best and mightiest, it will wipe the floor with you.
But I
It's
love the
pretty
foreshadowing
cool.
there. But it seems like Star
Yeah.
Ocean loves like the bait and switch of like everything is happy, death, death, death. Like that happens a lot.
Yes.
Or like fantasy,
Yes.
fantasy, and then like hard sci-fi,
Yeah,
yeah, they
you're
love
like
that.
in
Yeah.
a robot
Yeah.
zone. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do have a big laugh every time at Kuruk when you're talking to Kettle, or stupid kettle pot name character.
Mhm.
And he's like, "Are your friends okay?" It's like, "Well, I found one friend, but I couldn't find the other." And I'm like, "Oh."
Aw.
Like, oh no.
Also, for the first time, actually, because there was an event marker, which is awesome. The event marker is my favorite thing.
Mhm.
If you go back to Arlia, you actually find him and his mom, who I did not know had a sprite until now, also 8-directional
Oh.
sprite. She has a sprite, and they're all both in Arlia. She's
Oh, I
very
didn't
pretty
even know
too. I
that.
was like, wow, I never knew this character existed.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah. I mean, that is something about this game. Like it does kind of have that like trails kind of like the NPCs like have a lot of interesting dialogue and like
Mhm.
Yes.
characters popping back up later and things
There's
like
like a lot
that.
of
Yeah.
unique sprites for a lot of like one-off characters.
Mhm. Mhm.
And same thing, they all have 8-directional movement, which is, I'm sorry, it's a big deal. If you know what a
Yeah,
to animate pixels,
no,
it's a pain in
it's
the ass.
yeah.
Yeah, and like a lot of characters with like unique names, like a lot of uniquely named NPCs. And
Mhm.
I noticed with the store people, like a lot of those merchants are kind of quirky. Like there's
Yes.
Yuki, the jam girl.
Yes, the
There's
jam girl in
the
particular.
yeah,
And she has a whole private action that's like about
yeah.
her dreams to be like a singer or whatever, which is pretty funny.
There's like the old lady in Mars who can't hear. So
Yes,
she's kind of
yes.
cute. Yeah, so like a lot of the NPCs are kind of quirky. It's kind of fun. Some of them are boring as hell. Like they just have nothing
Mhm.
interesting at all to say, and they're just like, "I'm going shopping today." It's like, okay, good for you. And then other ones who are like, you kind of follow a story between like 4
Mhm.
NPCs,
Mhm.
and like
Yeah.
again, they're all kind of weird.
Yeah, and it does a good job of like fleshing out the world and making you like connected to it,
Yeah,
which I think is really important. Because yeah, like they connect you to all these people in this town, and then it falls into the ocean, and you're like, oh wow, things are getting like real serious. And then of course later, what happens? It's like, oh man, like I think that does a really good job of like getting you invested, because then when you start dealing with like the world ending stakes, it's like, oh yeah, like I actually like know these people in this world, and like something happening to them is like actually sad outside of your main party,
yeah.
which is it, and that's not something that I think a lot of RPGs at the time really did a great job of. So it's kind of a way that this game kind of distinguishes itself too. But yeah, so Kuruk is a complete wash, literally into the ocean. So
Oh,
um,
too soon.
Into the ocean you go. Bye.
so the
But what
poor
now? So
the
now we travel across the other way around the entire planet.
yes
So like how
yes
flat earthers think that you travel around a planet, really, where
yep
it's like,
yep.
instead of
I
going
mean,
from the
there
west
is a
coast
flat
of the
Earth in
North
this game
America.
too. There is
Yeah.
a flat planet in this game. So,
So like
but
instead of going from the North American west coast to Japan, you go
all the way
all
on
the
the
way
other,
east
yes,
through Europe
yep,
and then get to Japan.
So there's a detour, and you have to go through the village of Mars, which is where
Ugh.
Selene is from, and like where most of the mages in this continent are from. And they are having a problem with a bunch of bandits, like kidnapped all the children in the village, and
Yes.
which is just
All
like,
three of
Wow.
them, I think.
yes,
This planet is doomed.
yes. And so this is though where you really meet. I mean, I think you've already maybe run it. Did you run into DS prior to this?
No.
No. Okay,
She
so
talks
is-
about him, but that's it.
yes, that's
Yeah.
right. She
Yeah.
mentions him. Yeah, but this is the first time that you meet DS, who is the
Most
best swordsman in the
badass,
game. Yes.
morbidly depressed man you've ever
Yes,
met.
he's got long Sephiroth hair and a big long katana, so that's how you know he's cool.
Mhm.
Very 90s cool.
Very.
Oh,
I
yeah.
like
but-
his pants, like they're just kind of a nice tight, kind of like dress
Yeah.
pant beige.
yeah, yeah. But he is like kind of an older brother figure to Reina, and you get a sense that like something bad happened in the village, and that's why he left. And Reina hasn't seen him in many years, and she's kind of like, there's like a kind of tension there where she's like bothered by the fact that he left, but also cares about him. And then of course Claude is very jealous because
CW a little. It's a little
yes,
CW.
yeah, but a love triangle going on, though not really.
Yeah.
Very one-sided because Claude is like very jealous, and I mean you can understand him being jealous. Diaz is older and he's cool.
I always
he's very
respected the
cool.
fact they say that Claude is lonely. Like he just does not have anybody.
Yeah.
Aw.
Well, I mean, and he is like on a planet, completely separated from everything he's ever known, and Reina's like his only real, like his
Opinion. Yeah.
is only and so he feels very threatened by Diaz, but of course Diaz is like doesn't really care at all. He's like not really obviously not interested in Reina that way, and also not really interested in that kind of thing at all. Very one-track mind, wants to like go around and fight things basically.
His sprite is too cute to be so mad. It's so adorable. Like one of his private actions is him having a nightmare and like kicking and fussing, but again, it looks kind of
Yeah, it's
adorable.
very cute. Yeah.
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 I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
poor baby.
But this is like probably the first major divergence between Claude and Reina. So
Yeah.
Claude and Reina get in kind of a fight, and Reina decides, I'm going to go with Diaz and we're going to deal with these bandits. And then Claude doesn't want to be shown up by Diaz, so he and Selene are like, go and try to fight the bandits themselves.
So like you were saying, I've never done a run without Selene. I don't know why, but like I guess she just joins you for that part anyway.
I don't think she
I've
does. I think
I've-
I think you have to play it through solo if you don't take her. with you.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's even sadder. So he is just alone.
Well, because I think she wouldn't have a reason to go back to her village, I think, if you don't recruit her, right?
Right.
Yeah.
She's like
so-
on her
Or
own
would she not just
adventure
be there?
anyway.
Yeah, I think she's not there at all. Yeah.
That's why almost everybody takes her, because if you don't, after you do the cave, if you tell her to go away, then you have a really long gap before you can get any other characters. So
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't really want to be just solo Claude if you're playing Claude for that part especially. But yeah, so they kind of solve the issue with the bandits, and one of the people from the village is like a traitor, and there's also like some sorcery globe influence, is that right, in this too? I think
I don't remember.
because like
I
he
think
does.
there might be like a monster-ish looking
Yeah, he,
person
like,
that they're
turns
saying was
into a
like
monster.
corrupted.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
most of it just sounded like a ransom.
Yeah.
or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very I mean, it is very random, but
It's not especially
um
interesting, I'll be honest.
yeah, but once they've completed that, then they're free to go on to to Harley, which is the other port on Cross. Or is that right? Yeah. And then, but I think at this point, this is where you can like detour and recruit Ashton. I think. Am I
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
that sounds right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is where the
And
Ashton Opera first divergence really begins.
yes, yes. But I think to get Opera, you have to actually go to the next continent. So you have to like
Yeah.
abandon getting Ashton, and then you go to the next continent, and then you have to come back, if I remember
Mm-hmm.
right.
Yep.
But here you can. So there's like a rumor at the port town about like a dragon in the Salva mines. So you can go back to the Salva mines, and then in there you'll find these two dragons that are like intertwined like a bunch of snakes. And then Ashton is like a warrior with like two swords who's fighting the dragon. And so then the party kind of like interrupts him mid fight, and because of that he ends up getting fused with the dragons.
That's so funny.
It is funny because like there's no real explanation
It's
of like how that would happen or why, but so then he's got these dragons going out of his back, and now he's like, what the heck, like you have to you have to fix
You have to
this,
help
it's your
me.
fault. Yeah.
But then he like likes traveling with you guys and just kind of wanted to hang out with you. So he's like
Yeah,
kind of a bit of a, I don't know,
he's a funny character.
bit of a
I
dork.
really like Ashton.
Yeah.
He's like he at the end of like his journey, because you have to do all these like this big long side quest for him where you're trying to do these different things to like do a ritual to like remove the dragons from his back. But by the end of it, it turns out he's like, no, he's like, I don't even really care. He's like, I just wanted to be friends with somebody, and I thought if you guys didn't feel responsible for me, then you wouldn't let me go with you. And he gets attached to the dragons, and Raina names them Creepy and Weepy, and there's some like funny lines where they're like, oh well, once you name them, then they're like become people at that point, and then it's like, how do you like kill them or whatever.
Take them off your back. And they have
Yeah,
like
but
some weird voice acting for the dragons. Like that's the one voice acting that I didn't like, where it's like, "What do you think, creepy?" And it's like obviously a human being like, "Urgh," like I hated
yeah.
that.
It's
It
very
was really
goofy.
weird
Yeah.
though. Like in the first game, they kept their names like Japanese. The two dragons. So it's like
Hmm.
it's Gyoro and Ururun, and I'm like nobody's gonna know what that means.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, like
like
the
she just kind of translates it for you. It's like this one's got big eyes, so we're gonna call you this. It's like okay,
yeah, yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Back then, localization, they weren't as like big on like, oh, we have to like translate all the jokes. Like
Yeah.
they just leave them out, or they'd leave them like completely unaltered, and you're like, that doesn't really make sense. But calling them Creepy and Weepy, I think, is a pretty fitting.
It's cute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And Ashton's a very good. He's a very strong party member.
He also
Very.
likes barrels a lot.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
him and his
I don't know.
barrels.
He needs to be in an Atelier game, I think. Just join.
But very strong, very helpful. If you're, I was playing as Claude, and so it's helpful to have like another attacker kind of character who can
Mhm.
take aggro from enemies and still does a lot of damage. So my party for basically all the game was these four: was Claude, Ashton, Raina, and Celine. And with them two hanging back, and then you and Ashton, Claude and Ashton, kind of meeting the enemies head on, that pretty much takes care of like everything. So he's a very useful character and funny, but I do think like the other character you can get if you don't recruit him, Opera, and later Ernest, they have a little bit more like story significance and maybe are a little more interesting overall.
So old school players might remember recruiting Ernest literally just to steal from him. Because he's like one of the few characters that you can steal the battle suit from, which is like one of the best pieces of armor.
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
And he was a terrible, terrible character before. They've absolutely like rejigged the entire cast to actually be good finally.
Mhm.
He's
Yeah.
amazing in R. He's yeah.
It was rough because yeah, it's like Ashton went from being probably one of the best choices to get to kind of only okay now, but that's okay because everybody else has finally been
Yeah,
given
they
the
just
buff
made
they
everyone else
desperately
better.
needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they desperately needed it. Like Bowman and Priestess was like choosing between the two worst of evils.
Yeah.
They both kind of sucked. Like, oh, I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which one has the funner private actions is essentially what you'd be asking.
Did anybody
Yeah.
else back in Mars? Did anybody else steal from like the old man, like the goodie box in his pocket?
Yep.
You know what I'm
Yes,
talking
I
about?
think
Yeah.
I
Oh,
did. Yeah.
that's the point where like I'm like, oh, I can completely break this game. Like just like save scumming until you get like the best Reyna weapon. Yeah, that's what I did.
Isn't
Yeah.
that what's beautiful about
Yeah.
Trice though? That you can do
is.
this if you really put your mind to it.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing, and especially in second story R, is you can master the training skill, and then there's also like a formate there. So once everybody has training, then you can do like the party wide one, which is like enlightenment, and then there's also like a formation that increases the amount of exp you get. So all
Yeah.
of these things like massively increase the amount of exp that you get from battles, and then you level up like insanely fast.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
So
Bodyguard is the most incredible
So
ability in
good.
any
yes.
RPG. Just running
And I
around
think
having
my
them like
God.
ninja them to death. Oh man.
Bodyguard is new, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Brand
because
new.
well, there were random encounters before, so and then this game changes that to be on-field encounters, and so the bodyguard skill. If you guys aren't familiar, listeners, it basically your party members like will run out and like capture the enemy on the field, and then you can run up to the enemy, and then you get a free back attack, no matter what position they're in, and then they also will just kill weak enemies like immediately on the field.
And like
Yeah.
they're not even that weak. Like you'll still gain a lot of levels just by them like ramming into the enemy sprite.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a huge. I mean, that's probably the main thing that cuts down on the the amount of playtime in the game is just not having the random encounters.
You did have to
And
backtrack manually out of dungeons. It was one of those RPGs. It was not
yes,
fun.
yes. So yeah, there's like so many different ways that you can break. I mean, I didn't do any pickpocketing in this playthrough, and I still like was able to break the game like
I
through.
love that there's a contraband ability in this game. I just think it's so funny.
Yeah,
like the fact that
yeah.
you can get a bounce check that you sell to lose money is so
Yes.
funny.
Yes.
But it's said that anytime that you pickpocket enough, like your friendship level with everyone goes down, and I'm like,
Goes
okay, everyone
down,
just like is
That's
disappointed in
sensible.
you. Yeah,
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah.
And, like when
yeah.
they call you out, it's like, what are you doing? It's like, I don't know. I'm sorry.
I have a problem.
I want your
And the-
battle suit.
The crafting is also very strong, like customization skill or the blacksmithing skill are also very good. You can
So
like
good,
just
yeah.
take the stuff you buy or get from drops, and then turn it into like some of the best like weapons or armor in the game. So that's typically what I did. Oh, and I guess we didn't really talk about this, but Second Story R adds like the challenges thing in the menu where you can complete these challenges, which are like they're kind of like in-game achievements, I guess. And you get like tons of money and like materials and like equipment and things from doing that. So I mean, I had like an insane amount of money basically once I was like midway point through the game just from completing all the challenges. And that helps a lot too. It gives you more materials, so it just basically cuts the grind down, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did
Where
you
were
guys
we?
use the bunny call at all?
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't
Come
notice
here,
that until
bunny.
like after I 100% did everything. I'm like, oh, I could have called a bunny this whole time. But like in Japanese, the voices are so funny because they just suddenly use English and they're like, "Come on, bunny!" Like yes, well,
yes.
Bunny.
Yes. Yeah, the bunny call. I mean, you can get the
Bunny.
bunny call, I think, like immediately after you get Reyna and like leave like Salva or whatever. If you put
The
enough
game also has
points in.
quick travel. Like it just like totally
There's no
undermines
point.
itself in a good
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there are areas in the world map that are inaccessible unless you have the bunny, and there's like good loot, so there is a reason still to get it.
So much of this game you don't explore. Like it's crazy how many like secluded beaches there are with they just put like secrets and treasures and super jacked up enemies there. Which is really cool.
Yeah, and it's a nice way. So even though they added stuff like the fast travel, there still is incentive for you to like go around the world map and explore areas and do stuff like that, which I think is a nice balance because
And
it kind of
fishing.
it kind of prevents the game from like feeling too streamlined, I guess. Like I guess that's the main thing this remake does, it like it lets you engage with all the things you want and doesn't force you to engage with things you don't want. Um, but it's all still like
Mm.
available to you.
And
Yeah.
again, they actually gave everybody fishing animations. It's
Yeah.
absurd.
Yeah,
Why
and
did they do this?
the fishing's totally new too, right? Like that's a
Totally, yep.
totally new thing added with R.
Yeah.
So if you
You
like
gotta have
fishing,
fishing games.
You
yeah,
gotta.
yeah. And there's a whole side quest for the fishing stuff too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
There's also that
Um,
bottle of wine. I think it's in Harley. You can pickpocket a bottle of wine, and if you that's like the earliest chance you can get it. I think there's only 3 opportunities for you to pickpocket this in the game. But the longer
Oh.
you have it in your inventory, the more you can sell it for. So if you get it early and then
Oh,
wait
wow.
until
I
right
love
at the
that
end of the
thing.
game, you can sell it and get like
so it's like
millions of.
aging wine. It's like aged
Yeah, cool,
wine.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure
I
with
think at
all
this
the
point
like,
I've bought like 8 of them. If
yeah,
I'm
I
ever
wonder if that's
broke again, I'll be
affected
fine.
by all the space travel you're doing. It's like aging with the
Is that a bottle of
Aged
wine in your
100
pocket?
million years.
years. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 700 million years. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So from this point, you go over to Liqueur, and then this is kind of an interesting part of the game because once you get to Liqueur City, you
Is it?
participate. Yeah. I mean, I like the armory contest. I think it's kind of like fun.
Sure.
You gotta have like a tournament scene in any
Yeah.
anime or
Definitely.
RPG.
Yeah, it's a
right?
tournament arc.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
so bored. I'm so bored of them. Like,
know.
no.
And then you got like
Yeah.
more
No.
Claude Marina drama with Diaz again. I'm
Yes,
like,
with
ugh.
Diaz. Yes.
I'm
So,
like,
like,
just
nothing
give me the
really happens
thing.
with Claude. You just kind of wait. Yeah, you just go to bed that night and wake up at the contest. But Rena has a little like shuffle with a sword, and
Mhm. To get
oh.
Diaz his like equipment or whatever for
Then
the
Claude
tournament.
gets
Yeah.
jealous.
Yes. But it is important, character development because
I agree.
they
Yeah.
fight each other, and then Diaz kind of has like a begrudging respect for Claude at that point, and Claude also kind of like gets a better understanding of Diaz, and so
Yeah.
they it's a good growth moment, I think, for
Yeah.
Claude, where he kind of gets over his like jealousy and everything. This is where you can recruit Welch.
I took her this time. I'm very happy I did. She's fun.
Yes. She's something that's added. I believe she was added in Second Evolution.
Mhm.
And she's
Yeah.
kind of like the series mascot character. And it's like very easy to miss though because it's just like a private action. You like go right outside of the like the castle in Liqueur, and then she just like literally falls out of the sky or
She's just fun.
whatever.
And then insists upon being in your party. She's like, I'm just gonna come.
Yes. And she doesn't
Uh,
really have like obviously much importance in the story. She's just kind of like a bonus kind of thing. But it's nice to have another party member, and she's it connects the game to the other games in the series in a way that's kind of nice.
I think the implication if you played Star Ocean 3 is that she might be like one of the races from that.
Yeah.
But they never really
Yes,
say.
that's
Yeah.
where she's introduced, I believe, is Star Ocean 3. Yeah.
Okay, quick. Do you think that she's like the cursor, maybe? Because she's carrying that big.
That's actually a
hand
cute
around.
idea.
Oh, because she has the wand with like the pointer. Yeah.
Maybe.
Is she actually
Yeah.
good as a party member?
Surprisingly not
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah,
She got a
she's
few
usable.
skills that are
She-
ridiculously good. Yeah.
She does a ton
Okay.
of break damage with like her slap and flick attacks.
Yes.
Like she's great on
Yeah,
the
those are
fronts.
really good. She gets a Valkyrie profile Nibelung fake Velesti attack, which is really funny.
Oh wow.
Little
Okay.
lulls. Yeah.
Yeah, she's kind of like
It's cute.
Trio Ace fan service, I think, in some
Yeah.
ways. Yeah.
Okay.
I will say her personality feels a bit redundant with Priestess, so like them two are just
Yeah,
kinda
they
like
are
two peas in a
very-
pod.
They are very similar. Yeah. And it kind of makes sense because she was like kind of filled that role in other games, and then now she's getting brought back into this one. So like, it's almost like Priestess was maybe the template for her
Yeah.
originally. Yeah.
Yeah.
But of course you don't have to take Priestess. So if you want like a teenage girl who's kind of like annoying and precocious, then
Boy, do I.
And
She does have a lot of the fun private actions. Like
Yes, she does.
it's great that
yeah.
you could just bring party members along just because they're kind of fun to talk to.
Yeah.
Is Welch like
Um,
related at all to Puffy? Because like they kind of, it's hinted that they
Yeah,
have
it
some
would
kind of
seem like it.
connection. Okay.
Oh yeah, I
oh,
don't know. It could be a
yeah.
whole like 40 thing if I had to
I mean,
guess.
Okay.
that's Star Ocean for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so after this is where you go to Linga, and then speaking of Priestess, you can either recruit Priestess or you can recruit Bowman after you get the herb from the like sacred grounds or whatever.
The dungeon
Which
is way too cool for how little story impact it has.
yeah, it's like really it is. Yeah, that's true. It's very cool looking. Like you have the dragon skeletons or
Yeah, it's like a
whatever.
grave of
Mhm.
giants. It's like, what happened here? You're just there for an
Yeah.
herb?
Yes.
And it will never be brought up again. Like,
Yep.
yeah, there's like this is like pure Trice. Like they have like a lot of interesting story details just kind of, nudged away in the corners, but it
Well,
just doesn't get elaborated on.
I wonder if it's because the story really ends up being about the like science fiction aspects. It's
Mhm.
like the concept of kind of having that fantasy world. So it's like, oh, well, here's all these things in the fantasy world. Like every RPG fantasy world has things like this, right? And all this like lore or background, but it doesn't actually end up being very important to the story they want to tell.
Yeah.
So it's more just kind of like fleshing out the unimportant like fantasy world that you're in. And
Well,
like
like
you
even Ashton, like they kind of imply a whole like war with monsters and all that
uh-huh.
stuff, But like again, like Expel is, spoiler alert, destroyed by the end of
Right.
the first disc, quote
Yeah, so
unquote.
it
You
doesn't
know?
really matter to the
Yeah.
story. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, this is like a traditional art. You could like have a game that's totally in this world, but we're not going to do that. So
Shrug.
It's just more
yeah.
part of that bait and switch, like to make it more convincing and more
Mhm.
shocking when it eventually is
A little
taken
Yes.
bit,
away.
yeah.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
it kind
Cuz
of is because like everyone's naive about it. It's like I'm sure everyone's fine, and Claude's like,
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
ooh,
And
Yeah.
later, without
let's.
spoiling it, like later, Chisato is like has the same kind of like, she's willfully quiet about a lot of things, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
But
Mhm.
without spoiling it, but
I
Yep.
like her. She's so much fun, but we'll get to that one day. Okay.
Yeah, that'll be part 2.
Yeah.
But
Um,
you can get Priestess or Bowman. I went with Priestess this time, just because I think she has a little more personality.
I don't like
Um,
Bowman. Like he like
yeah,
has a wife and he's just openly
I
flirting. It's
know
just kind of obnoxious.
he's kind of a Lothario. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not that part is not great. But he does
She seems
like,
lovely. Like what's going
yeah, I
on,
know
man?
it's so weird. Like if you don't take him, he's
Yeah.
like very like devoted to his wife and like talks about that. So then if you do take him, like I just feel like it's so weird. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it's like he like has that side to his personality, which you don't see at all if you don't take him as a party member. I don't know if it's like a weird attempt at like humor that doesn't really land or whatever, but he is kind of a useful character in the party. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of Bowman's overall. Um, but then yeah, from that point, then you go to the Hoffman ruins, and I believe this is where you get Ernest if you picked Opera right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Opera and Ernest, we didn't talk about them very much, but they're interesting. They're like kind of the three-eyed people who show up in Star Ocean
Their middle eye
games.
looking a little dead always creeps me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it always looks like half asleep. And I don't think
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think their like race is called tetragenes, I think. And I don't think they're
Yeah.
in any other Star Ocean game. I think they only appear in this one as far.
Aren't they're
They
in the
are,
first
but as
one?
NPCs.
Yeah.
It's just
Okay.
nothing
Yeah.
special. It'd be cool
Yeah.
to actually visit the planet because they give you that one shot like in their endings, which looks amazing. It's a super
Mhm.
sci-fi planet, and
Yeah.
like Oprah's basically like a queen of. Too bad there's no eyebrow above their third eye.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I don't know why. I just thought that would be funny. I don't
Yeah,
like
actually
a
no,
mean
it would.
plankton unibrow, like on the middle.
Yeah. 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 But yeah, so then you go through the ruins, and then that's with Leon, who's this little like scientist kid. To
He's a
get
little shit.
he's very much a little shit. Very full of himself, and also has like the petulance of a child, but the arrogance of like an adult, which is not a great
Yeah.
combo. But you help them get him get the energy stone in the ruins, and that is going to be used for the liqueur hope, which is like this this laser cannon essentially that they Kingdom of Liqueur is building to fight against the impending monster invasion from L. And then from there, you immediately go to the Liqueur frontline base to like head off the monster invasion. And then this is where, if you're playing as Rena, you recruit Diaz because he is also helping out the Kingdom of Liqueur fight the monsters.
Yes.
And that's great because Diaz is probably the best party member in the game if you're playing as Rena.
So, in the original game, he was really good, but because of the 999 cap, or sorry, yeah, 9999. Okay, yeah, because of the damage cap, he was not as good by the end, and because all of his
Yeah.
skills only hit hard but once, so that was kind of annoying.
Right.
But now with a
right.
combo system and with the rejigging of some of their attacks, he's now amazing again.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's also just like super cool. So
He's super cool.
yeah.
His old voice killed me. It was so deep, and like one of his like battle starting lines is like he's like 10 seconds. It's just the coolest thing I've ever heard back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think that like the fact that he can't join if you're playing as Claude is like maybe the biggest downside of Claude's playthrough. Not because so much you like miss out on having him, which in the party, which is like, as for gameplay reasons, but because like I think like for story reasons, like I think it's very fitting to have him join the party with Reyna and Claude and kind of resolve the kind of tension between the three of them. And without that, you're kind of missing something, I feel like. But yeah, he's a cool character. And then you fight against the monsters. They use their laser cannon, and it's like, I don't know, like a nuclear bomb going off pretty much. Like,
But magic.
yes, but magic. And it's really effective against the monsters. So they think, oh yeah, we're good, we're ready to go. So then you're finally going to the Kingdom of L. On a boat with the Liqueur Hope, and because you're like, oh, we can now take the fight to the monsters, and then the monsters like just show up, completely like shrug off the weapon and then destroy it and knock everybody into the ocean. So
I love when he just like bumps into your
bumps
sprites
them,
while they're
yeah.
dead and just like poof. And everyone else just runs off it. It's
Yeah.
so funny.
And these fights are funny because you can win like each of the fights against, I think what's his name, Sin or whatever the demon.
Sign, yeah.
Or Sign, yeah.
Weird monster with a pompadour.
Yes. And it doesn't matter if you win because he still wins for story reasons. So you can win all these battles, but he'll win in the end. And yeah, you guys get knocked into the ocean, and then Claude washes. So if you're playing as Claude, he washes up on shore with just Leon. But
poor guy.
I know, and Leon is like freaking out because he thinks his parents are dead and everything, and Claude kind of reassures him, and they luckily there's a village nearby, and then you're reunited with your party. And unfortunately Leon's parents aren't there, but if you're playing in Claude's route, you feel bad about just like abandoning this kid, so you can take him with you.
Stay here, I'll be back. The next spell gets vaporized.
So yeah, he's another like magic party member. He's like decent. I didn't really use him very much though. I don't know if anybody else bothered with Leon.
He's a good support. Like, you know how they have the support characters now, so you just do like extinction and just you can pop that off every 30 seconds or so.
Yeah,
I actually quite like Leon. I don't use him loads in battle just because I think I don't really like the constant pausing with spells.
With the spells, yeah.
But I find his character quite interesting, and like a lot of his private actions and stuff, like
they're fun.
Later on, you find out more about kind of what's behind his like shield of like arrogance and all that sort of stuff. I think I always prefer him over Diaz just because I feel like Diaz is a bit too, I don't know, I'm kind of a bit bored of the like grey-haired sword wielding
the brooding
like
loner
cool
kind of.
I'm just a bit like I've seen this before, I want something a bit different, so yeah, usually go Leon.
Who's the really tough guy in Star Ocean 4? I forgot his name. Amaranth.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so I remember
Mhm.
someone said like as far as you can be sexist about with men, Amaranth is a point of that where it's just he's constantly dark and brooding and just
Mhm.
never gonna laugh, like never gonna be any fun. Like, and he's just kind of like that. He's just a little too stoic, a little too. He just it's just not much to work with really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't mind Aramat quite as much just because he has a scythe, which is
I love it.
cooler
Yeah,
than a sword.
1000%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, he's also a good contrast to like the cast in that game, which
yeah,
is, you
yeah.
who
know,
are a little
yeah.
too bubbly and
Mhm.
stupid, to be honest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Star Ocean 4 is just full of dummies. Like that game is just fascinating in
Yeah.
terms
But
of its main cast.
that's a good point though, Rob. Like I do think like Diaz has a little bit of character development, but there's just not much room for him to really grow. Whereas you get to see a lot of like more development and um, you know, bond building between Leon and the rest of the characters, which I think
Mm.
is does make him worth picking up for sure.
The private
Diaz.
action where he tells he's got like a crush on one of the girls, and then he just proceeds to list all of the girls. It's
Yeah,
very cheeky.
he's a good kid character, I think, right? Like he's
Yeah,
not too
he's fun.
annoying and he has that kind of like charming. He's charming in the way that like kids can be kind of charming and funny. Yeah.
I mean, he's a brat because
Mhm.
he's a popular, smart kid. He's gonna be a brat.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to
What are you
hate
gonna
him.
do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from this point, this is where you all go to the Tower of Illuria, and this is where Claude finally gets kind of brought back to his
I love the
um
design of this place where it's like a fantasy castle and then like the techie stuff just got
yeah, on the inside.
splitted right on top of it.
Mm-hmm. All the glowing blocks and like
Yeah, it's
everything. Yeah.
creepy instead. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
the way they foreshadow like constantly Claude's like walkie-talkie thing going off and Rena's like
Yeah.
catching on to like this guy's not what he
Mm-hmm.
says he is. Like I think that culminates really well
Yes.
here.
Yeah, there's
Hmm.
some private actions earlier. I think one is in the port town on Liqueur where he like leaves in the middle of the night and to go try to use the communicator and she like follows him out and sees him using it. And so she's like, "Oh, what is going on with this?" And then yeah, culminates with him kind of getting unceremoniously teleported out of the dungeon in the middle of the dungeon and sent back to his the colonists. And his dad is like, you know, of course, relieved to like that his son is alive and okay and everything. And Claude is just
I
like,
love this
no,
scene.
I
Yeah,
need to
I
go
think
Yeah.
back.
it's.
Like, what the hell?
I've been making fun of the story a lot, but like I genuinely love this scene where he
Yeah,
decides to stay.
it's a really good scene. And he Claude does like the smart thing of like appealing to Ronix's past
Yeah,
and is like, you were in the same situation, you wouldn't have abandoned them, and
yeah.
like that's why I need to go back. And so he lets him go
This is like
back.
dad duty says no. We're gonna let you go, say goodbye, and then you're
Yes,
coming right back home with me, son.
because he has that, but he has that moment of like, oh yeah, like I remember all of my friends from
Yeah,
the planet. And so that's a good, you know, that's a good connection, I think, to the first game too, that really makes it, because when you're when he says that and like Ronix kind of like reacts to that way, you are also as the player, if you've played the first one, like, oh yeah, like remembering everything that happened. And
Oh yeah.
um yeah, it kind of is a nice moment. And then of course Claude is clever, so he just like leaves the communicator and goes with his friends, and then they teleport him back in 5 minutes and he's not there.
like I think the big deal is that like straight up Ron expels out like expels on a collision course to actually get
Yes.
destroyed. So like their
Yes.
time is running out, and we gotta vamos right now.
Right.
Yeah,
And Claude, knowing that, still goes back, and
yeah.
which is a kind of a big turning point, I guess, because you know for a long time you'd been thinking like, oh, he just wants to like get home, but now it's like him choosing like Expel and his friends over everything, which is a big moment for him. And then this is where we finally kind of figure out what's actually going on in the game, because they go to the top of the tower where the sorcery globe is, and there's these 10 weirdos
That's
all
what they're called,
assembled
right?
around it.
I thought you you're gonna say villains and just weirdos.
I mean, they are some weird people, right? Like,
with no
very
consistency
strange.
between what they look like. They're all just like, oh,
No,
this guy has like
no.
12
it's so
eyes.
great.
Yeah.
3 cyborgs and like 1 hooded dude. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and then some just like
Yeah.
old guy, like, yeah.
Yeah.
One
Very
like Final Fantasy Black Mage.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Raphael.
Yeah. And so these guys are they call themselves the 10 Wise Men, and they are very confused to see both Claude there and Reyna. And they're like, what is an Earthling doing here? And what is a Nedian doing here? And they're like, what is a Nedian? And so, but they're like, and it's an interesting scene too, because they're like all chiming in at different points. And so you get a kind of a sense of each one's personality, and they all have like very different, weird kind of personalities. You kind of, it's also like the party is basically like a bunch of flies buzzing around them. Essentially, they're like, what the hell is this? Like, get out of our way. Like, we don't need you around. And they basically give them some kind of exposition, like, oh, this is what you're calling the source to globe is actually like this device that we're using to like change the orbital rotation of the planet expel to crash into need, essentially, because that's like the opening they need to like get in there or whatever. And so they kind of say like, yeah, Expel is just like the closest planet that we could use. So it's kind of random that they've picked it. And so they've
Again, what are the odds that Claude would end up here? What are the odds? And not in the middle of negative matter.
Well,
just
maybe
landed cozily in a forest.
He's the hero of light, right? There you
go. Fine.
But yeah, so it's just kind of like Expel is just being sacrificed for their own selfish ends, and it's like a very I think it's a very powerful moment, because it kind of gives you a sense of like how powerful these guys are, that they are willing to just like doom a planet of like 1 billion people for their own like goals, and they don't even think twice about it.
Did you guys see in that final room, they those bastards put a treasure chest in there?
Oh yes.
So mean.
I did notice that this time around. Yes.
God dang it. Yeah, that was cruel. It's like, it's right there. Cool. Can I get it? And you can keep talking. I can't wait to find out what it is. It's just gonna be blueberries, isn't it?
Yep. And then one of the what's it, Metatron, I think is his name, is the one who volunteers to like fight them, and makes quick work of you, of course. And then, but because they have to teleport off of the tower to like avoid the impending destruction of the planet, and that as has kind of been shown before, like the teleportation devices or whatever, like it's a area, like a small area around them, so they end up teleporting the entire party with them when they teleport to need. And there's some dialogue where they're like, oh, we're gonna end up taking them with us, and they're like, whatever, who cares? Like, they don't matter.
Kill them later.
Yeah. And so they teleport off the planet, and then that's when everybody gets to need, which is an interesting place. And I think that's probably a good stopping point for us, and we can pick back up with part 2. How does that sound, everybody? Yeah?
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Cool. Well,
the second story, second story.
Yes.
Part of the second story,
yes, exactly. So, well, it's been a pleasure talking with you guys about this game. I really enjoyed it. It's one of my favorite games. So, and I can tell from
it's so cozy. I can't get over just how many towns and houses you can go into, and like all of them are very intricately designed.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why. It's like one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike Sybydlo
like
will
to
love
the point that there's even stuff that you don't even ever have to go into, like the university at Linga. You just never ever actually need to be in for any reason.
Yeah.
I think there's like a private action in there, and that's about it. Like,
the library. Yeah. There's a private action with Reyna, but yeah, it's like a really cool kind of, and you can read like the lore books in there and like learn more about like the world and stuff. Yeah, there's just a lot of like lovingly crafted kind of locations, and like we were talking about with the NPCs too. Yeah, there's just so much.
They made Keurig just to get destroyed. I mean, what? What is
Yeah,
that about?
yeah. I mean, the game is not afraid to like really kind of create a sense of place and then kind of disrupt your expectations about what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what makes Star Ocean unique amongst other RPGs.
Mhm.
Is that willingness to like break with convention and do something different. Yeah. All right. So 2 weeks from now, we're going to be doing another episode. It'll be part 2 of Star Ocean: The Second Story. And then coming up after that is going to be a Final Fantasy Tactics retrospective,
Ooh.
which Zach will be hosting. Everything's back to normal then.
Surprised we haven't done that.
Aw.
Well, there has been a game journal, I believe. It was like I think it was like one of the first game journals that Retro Encounter did. But I guess Zach wanted to do like a 1 episode
Oh, for
retrospective
the new?
because of Valis
Smart.
Chronicles is coming out. So if
Okay.
you're a big Final Fantasy Tactics fan, look forward to that. And if you want to get in touch with the show, you can email us at retro@rpgfan.com. Please follow us on social media. So we're on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Twitter, Blue Sky, Twitch. Scott's always streaming over on Twitch. And YouTube as well. We do like video previews and things like that on YouTube. And of course on RPG Fan at rpgfan.com. And also feel free to join the RPG Fan Discord. I think a lot of us are in there and interact with people. And it's also a good way if you're a fan of Scott's streams to get caught up with what he's going to be streaming and doing. Other than that, there's also an RPG Fan shop, which is hosted by TeePublic. And we also have a review card book from Hyperplay RPG that you can purchase, which is full of the review cards that get posted to social media that are made. They're really, really cool. They kind of have snippets from the reviews and some,
I'm literally making one right now.
yes, Steph makes a lot of those, I think, or all of them, maybe. And they are really great. So if you're a fan of the site, definitely check that out. There's links on RPG Fan to both of those. And then, of course, our other podcast, Random Encounter, which is a regular podcast hosted by Jono about current events in RPG news. So usually, like if there's a recent big game that came out and got reviewed, he will, talk to our reviewer about it and talk about, whatever news coming out or anything that he really wants to do, pretty much. And then also we have Rhythm Encounter, which is our podcast focused on RPG music, which is really great. One, I bet Matt, you've probably been on some of those, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I love being on Rhythm Encounter.
Yes. So definitely check that out. You can also review us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, anywhere. We love to get feedback from listeners. And then we can say how you can get in touch with each of the panelists. So for me, you can just email me at benloganlove@gmail.com. How about you guys, starting with Rob?
I'm on Blue Sky, Neon Cowboy.
Cool.
That's a great name.
Yeah, that is a good
Wanna
one.
draw that?
It's anime name generator. That's where that came from.
Oh. Well, it's very, very cool and very memorable. How about you, Steph?
I'm most everywhere as Dice, like playing Dice SMS. I do a lot of video game art, and I talk a lot of video games, so come follow me.
Great. Audra, what about you?
Oh, I'm usually just on email, audrab@rpgfan.com.
And you, Matt?
I guess just reach me in the comments on any of the many RPG fan articles. We have a ton of stuff that you can read, reviews and articles and previews and such. People are working really hard on those, so check them out.
Yeah, and I think you were recently at TGS, right? So there's a bunch of TGS coverage you did. Yeah, which is really,
that was
really
so
cool.
great. Yeah.
That was so much fun.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you, listeners, and good night and good luck.
Come on, buddy.